7 million people have been infected, with the death toll surpassing the 100,000 mark. We also have the numbers of the situation here in the country. But first, let's take a look at the headlines. Tonight,
62 people have tested positive for COVID-19.
The number of infections in the country passed 1,300 as 3,000 take the test in Nairobi, the outbreak's epicenter. Also tonight, stretched queues and a stretching dispute at the Malaba border.
We have told those people who are causing problems that you do not have to drive towards the border. If you feel you have grievances,
government strikes back at striking truck drivers. Plus, passions stoked in a region still reeling from ethnic tensions.
Haitakuwa kwamba sisi sasa ni kudeploy askari kila mahali ati watu askari wakae pale ndio watu wakae kwa amani.
Fresh fighting in Narok South claims 8 lives. And also tonight, Narok Senator Ledama Olekina falls back in line. But the House of Jubilee is not so accommodating.
We are going to be not very merciful when it comes to the discipline in the party.
The party still demands duty and obedience as it effects more changes in the Senate. Thank you so much for joining us. Our sign language interpreter this evening is David Agundoa. My name is Zainab Ismail. Now, 62 more people have tested positive for the coronavirus in the last 24 hours to bring the national tally to 1,348. Now, let's break it down further. Now, out of the 62 new cases, 59 are Kenyans and 3 are foreign nationals. They're all aged between 6 and 64 years. Nairobi, which is the epicenter of the outbreak, reported 23 new cases. Mombasa has 16. Kwale 8, Kiambu 6, Kajiado 6 and Kitui 3. In Nairobi, the cases are spread out in Umoja, Kibra, Isli, Dagoretti North, Langata, Westlands, Starehe and Embakasi. The government is also concerned that a number of people who've tested positive have been giving out false contact and personal information, making it difficult to trace them and those they've been in contact with and derailing the fight against the pandemic. Now, in the last 48 hours alone, Langata area of Nairobi County has recorded about 25 new infections of the virus. Public health authorities are now raising the alarm, asking those living in the area to be extra vigilant and adhere to the laid down guidelines. The Nairobi Metropolitan Services has also set up mass testing centers to establish the extent of community infections, but the low turnout of people is becoming a concern. Naoma Sampao was there.
The Ministry of Health is racing to keep the number of coronavirus as low as possible with targeted mass testing in potential hotspots. Among the areas with growing concern is Langata, which recorded 21 cases of coronavirus yesterday and 2 more today.
We visited this informal settlement within Langata to assess the uptake of guidelines aimed at containing the spread of the coronavirus. From our observation, it is business as usual. People going about their day-to-day activities. Evidently, social distancing regulations and strict wearing of masks is only a mirage here.
Watu ndugu wanalia mask, hatuna mask. Juu mask ni 100 ama 50 bob. So tuna request government ikuja hapa Undugu itulete mask, anailete mama sanitizer.
Residents are now urging the Ministry of Health to set up more mass testing centers.
Tunaomba sana vile serikali ilikuwa na mwongozo kutuletea hapa vitu ya kupima, ingekuwa vizuri sana tuletee mji wa Undugu. Kwa sababu kutoka hapa na kwenda upande ya yani ati kupata matibabu tunaona ni shida sana.
In the expansive Kibra slums within the constituency, a mass testing exercise is underway. Public health officials say there has been a relatively low turnout of individuals wanting to take the test. For some, the intrusive nature of the testing process is too much to bear.
Watu wajakamu wengi sana, lakini tuenda kuwatoa kwa kijiji wakuje. Walikuwa wanalia ati kitu ya kupima ni uchungu. Kuna mwingine alikuwa ananiambia ni story refu kama ya soda.
Our target is about 500 people, what we are targeting. But so far, I think we are around 120. We will organize for another activity, same like this.
You don't want to contaminate them.
Away from the testing centers where health officials and police enforced the guidelines to prevent further spread, on the streets many walked in groups and engaged in conversations with barely no distance between them.
Some of our people have been shy to present themselves for testing for fear of the treatment cost. Let me restate once more. The cost of testing, quarantine, and treatment in a government facility will be fully met by government.
The crowded settlements are said to be at a higher risk of community infections. Nayoma Sampao, NTV.
Now, with the persistent issue of the alleged ill treatment of truck drivers crossing the borders into neighboring East African countries, won't just go away. Following the blockade of Malaba border by aggrieved truck drivers, the government has today taken action to prevent the load that the snarl-up has put on the weekend trade lines. However, some drivers still say they're not getting much help to ease the pain of keeping the trade corridor moving amid the odds presented by the pandemic. Gina Kirori has the details.
While the announcement of the new numbers carried the weight of the rising caseload in the country, another problem is escalating along the Kenya-Uganda and Tanzania borders.
The cargo trucks from Tanzania side were not coming through, and vice versa. And the reason was because there was a bit of disparity until last week with regard to the testing protocols.
Those differences at the Namanga border that had vitiated into a diplomatic spat have since been resolved by a memorandum of understanding on the testing protocols which are approved under the World Health Organization. However, the situation is still fragile at the Kenya-Uganda Malaba border. Queues of truck drivers are getting longer and the grievances dragged out.
Sisi madereva hatuna security ya kutosha. Tunafika pale tunadhulumiwa. Sasa hii ndo wakati ambao tunataka tupate haki yetu.
It is now emerging that a standoff on the testing modalities for drivers trying to cross the East African border is causing a strain on the processing and clearance of the drivers trying to cross the borders, which in turn is causing a delay at the border points.
Complaints about lack of adequate facilities and improper sanitation facilities have been reported. Of course, we will not expect first-class facilities. It is challenging times, but it is not as bad as people have described.
The government today put in measures to remove the trucks that had blocked the border and allow the flow of traffic to continue. This, they say, will however take 3 to 4 days. The delay of goods has heavily impacted trade in the country, as Uganda is the entry point to the Great Lakes region, which for a large part relies on goods that come in through Mombasa. The truck drivers are also complaining about the conditions they face once they enter Uganda, including painful and invasive testing.
We had a few elements who came to incite the other drivers. When I say incite, it's only a few, about 3 truck drivers who went and blocked the entry to the border, thereby creating a queue of up to 50 kilometers.
The government insists any truck drivers with grievances must address them through proper channels, but all must get clearance certificates to be allowed to cross the border. Gina Kirori, NTV.
All right, now at present, swabbing the nose and antibody testing are the dominant ways used by global healthcare systems to test for COVID-19. Now, both techniques have their limitations, and as the crisis unfolds, researchers are looking into alternative ways to screen for the deadly disease. Antibody testing, which studies immune response, helps in detecting the possibility of a past infection and whether it can deter reinfection. Our health reporter Eunice Omolo spoke to Lancet Kenya on the advancements in antibody testing in the country.
A positive result means you have been infected in the past. Okay. A negative result means that you have not been infected in the past, at least not in the recent past. Now, for the antibody test, you are looking for the body's immune response. somebody has produced the antibodies in their blood and you're testing for it. Now, the antibody might be there at low levels. The test must be able to pick it at very low levels. So there are three problems with antibody tests. One is that the test itself might not be sensitive enough to pick the antibody. Two, people vary in terms of how much antibody they produce. Some people have very low antibodies or even no antibodies, yeah? And in those people, if you did the antibody test, you might say that they are negative, but actually they had the infection. And then three, of course, even if somebody actually produced the antibody and you have a sensitive test, the presence of an antibody does not equate to active infection. Somebody might actually be non-infectious at that point, but the antibody is positive, which is of no use for a pandemic situation. Because in a pandemic situation, what you really want to do is identify those who are actively infectious, isolate them. And that's why the Director General for Health said you cannot use the antibody test in place of PCR because it will be misleading. The WHO has pronounced itself and said these tests for the antibodies cannot be used for clinical purposes. They have also said the same thing for the antigen tests, in that you cannot use the antibody or antigen test to determine who is infected, who is infectious. But they said it can be used for serosurveillance. And serosurveillance basically means you are looking at how many people have gotten infected out of a certain population. That can be useful information because if you find out that 60% of you have been infected in the past, or 80%, it means you don't have to worry about you going forward because you've already been infected in the past, you have immunity, and you're unlikely to get infected again. But studies that have been done in New York, in Spain, it has shown that the serosurveillance picture is about 5 to 17%, not more than 20%, which means at the moment, across most of the countries in the world where the infection has been quite high, even the number of people who have been infected is not so high enough to talk about herd immunity. So you can't use it for purposes of like mass testing, mass screening. Now, one of the things that has been speculated and it has been proposed, it can be used for the return to work strategy. You know, you can test people, especially healthcare workers. If you have antibodies positive, it means you are unlikely to get infected again because you have immunity, which means you can go back to work, but you still have to take precautions because we are not 100% sure that if you are having antibodies, that you cannot get reinfected. There are some suggestions that people get reinfected after having gotten infected in the past, despite having antibodies, but studies have shown that it's unlikely. If you have antibodies in the blood of somebody who's infected, it can be removed, purified, and it can be injected into somebody who is severely ill, who doesn't have the antibodies of their own, because that antibody will go and mop out the virus in that person. So it can actually be used for therapy.
So your result is negative.
Those who have been infected and they have recovered, it means their antibodies are effective in neutralizing the virus. You can test for those antibodies, find out which is the exact antigen that they are attacking, and then you can use that information to come up with an effective vaccine. Yeah.
All right, now 8 people have died and more than 20 others injured in the ongoing inter-community conflict in Narok North and Narok South. Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembeya has now barred politicians from the troubled area as more police officers were deployed to quell the skirmishes. Bridget Singana has the details.
The flames of ethnic tension have once more been stoked. Now violence consumes the communities living at the center of it. The confrontation stirred up by the alleged theft of a bull 3 days ago in Ololoi Pangi, Narok South spread quickly to all Pusimuru in Narok North. Now passions have been stoked in an area devoured by friction between the Maasai and Kipsigis communities.
Tungependa kabisa kulaani in the strongest term possible hizi vitu kwa sababu kwa muda mrefu sisi kama Wakenya tumeondoka kwa mambo ya vita vya kikabila. Ilikuwa ni mambo tu ya ushenzi, ile inaitwa primitivity. Lakini nakaa kwamba kuna watu bado wamekwamileza tabia za kumuona mwenzako kama sio Mkenya bali ni mtu wa kabila fulani, na kama sio kabila lako basi yeye ni adui.
Security officials fear the conflict bears political undercurrents and have since banned politicians, often accused of fanning the flames, from visiting the area.
Kuna wanasiasa pia ambao wamekuwa wanakuja sehemu hiyo. Wengine wanajifanya kwamba wanaleta chakula cha msaada, wengine wanaleta barakoa huko. Lakini unapata mtu anakuja kwa area kama hiyo ambayo iko cosmopolitan, lakini analetea jamii moja tu. Na ile mambo ambayo wanaongea sehemu hayo sio mambo mazuri.
This morning, a fresh wave of violence spread over all Pusimoru, raising the death toll from the conflict to 8. 22 others are nursing arrow injuries in hospital.
Lazima tuanze kufunguka akili. Haitakuwa kwamba sisi sasa ni kudeploy askari kila mahali ati watu askari wakae pale ndio watu wakae kwa amani. It's not possible that inapeana a very bad image. Ni kwamba mtu uelewi maslahi yako ni gani. Lazima kuja mwambie wewe ukikaa kwa amani, watoto wataenda kwa shule vizuri, utalima shamba lako, utafanya biashara, you gain more.
A manhunt for a gun-toting suspect who ambushed and killed one person in the conflict area is on. The regional commissioner is expected to tour the area on Wednesday. The government also plans on increasing the number of administrative stations in the area as a long-term measure to curb the ethnic flare-ups. Bridget's Ghana, NTV.
Well, away from the situation there in Rift Valley region, Central Regional Commissioner Wilfred Nyagwanga has now hit out at Deputy President William Ruto and other politicians distributing food aid for flouting set guidelines that should ensure the safety of the donations. This comes after 20 people were taken ill in Giakambura for taking foodstuffs distributed by politicians in the area. NTV's Melito Letenges has more.
An act of kindness meant as a relief for the pain of the pandemic turned to be the source of affliction for the residents of Kikuyu in Kiambu County after food donations they received left them ill, complaining of stomach aches, inflamed throats and swollen tongues. Central Regional Commissioner Wilfred Nyagwanga now blames politicians for distributing food without following laid-down procedure.
Nobody should donate food without passing it to the committee so that they can see that food is good for human consumption. That's what we are saying. So from today ends, we stop that kind of behavior.
Last week, Deputy President William Ruto, through the William Ruto Foundation, and Kikuyu MP Kimani Ichung'wah donated foodstuff to Kikuyu residents. He has since distanced himself from the poisonous package, citing dirty politics that have tainted the noble exercise.
Unakula kijiko mara moja, mara mbili, ya tatu, unasikia kunywa maji kiwi hapa. Ilikuwa unga kilo 2 ya ugali, sukari nusu 2, dengu na mafuta ya salad ya kupika. Hata sasa tunaongea na nyinyi, ulimi unasikia kama ni kuchoma chomwa.
Some of the residents say a white Land Cruiser car was seen distributing food in Gikambura.
Kuna mama nilikuta tu mahali akaniambia wamepewa chakula. Nikamuuliza amepewa na nani? Akaniambia kuna gari imepita hapa inasema ni KJ ametumana chakula ipeano. Lakini mimi sikujua zaidi hapo. Ile niliona tu ni unga
mojawapo ya majina ambayo yameandikwa kwa chakula hiki ni jina langu. Ilhali mimi sina chakula ambacho mimi napeana nikiwa nimeandika jina langu. Tungependa kudhibitisha huyu mtu ana nia gani?
Members of the clergy in Kikuyu now want the government to accelerate plans to offer aid to needy families and at the same time asked residents to not accept food whose source was unknown.
Ni vema wagoje strategy ambayo inatumika na serikali, tuende tukachukue chakula pahali ambapo panapofaa.
We have already seized the food that was claimed to be in bad. So the public health people, they are analyzing it. Once analyzing, which the government must will investigate. If we get those who are concerned, the law will take its own hand.
Melita Oletenges, NTV.
Of course, and that's a situation that is continuing to unfold there in central Kenya. And of course, a lot of reactions with regards to that incident. Now, the Jubilee Party has once again effected changes in the Senate, ejecting Deputy President William Ruto's allies from powerful committees. As Secretary General Raphael Tuju asserted, the party will be ruthless with any members who do not toe the line. NTV's senior political affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi with that update.
The last time journalists convened at the Jubilee Party headquarters for a press conference was at the height of the 2017 elections, when President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto were in good working relationship. The magnificent building that houses the Jubilee Party has since lost its allure as fissures widened between the party's power architecture. The Secretary General, who has himself been in the crossfire, today sought to cut the frame of a man back in charge.
We are going to be not very merciful when it comes to the discipline in the party. In the past, we have been very generous to some of our members.
For the last 2 weeks, the Jubilee Party has been effecting changes to some of its house leadership and instilling discipline where necessary, and now believes that it has the numerical strength to push ahead with any agenda it has, having made some of them toe the line.
When it is members of parliament, we expect 100% fidelity. They hanged on the goodwill of the party to get their positions. For them to now change tact midstream is nothing but betrayal of the party.
And that purge continues as more members of DP William Ruto's inner circle in the Senate were assigned to less influential committees. In the Senate, former Majority Leader Kipchumba Murkomen has been dispatched to the Devolution Committee to replace Laikipia Senator John Kenywa, another of DP Ruto's allies, who was former chair of the committee. Kenywa has now been moved to the ICT committee as a member to replace Senator Samuel Pogisio, who was elevated to Senate Majority Leader. Ousted Deputy Speaker Kithure Kindiki will now have to seek shelter in the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, just as a member, and replaces Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, who has been stepped down as chairperson and moved to the Powers and Privileges Committee. There he replaces Senator Irungu Kangata, who was elevated to the position of Majority Whip. Meru Senator Mithika Lentore has been suffered a double blow as he was removed from the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, where he was vice chair, and the all-powerful County Public Accounts and Investments Committee, and pushed to the less attractive Committee on Delegated Legislation. Lintore's County Public Accounts and Investments Committee membership will be taken up by Deputy Majority Leader and Isiolo Senator Fatuma Dulo, while Bomet Senator Christopher Langat replaces him at the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, having been moved from the Education Committee where he was chairman. Langat's place in the Education Committee will be filled by Senator Alice Milgo. Another of Senator Langat's powerful slot in the Senate Business Committee has been filled by Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja. Senator Murkomen has already indicated that he will not take up the position that he has been offered, as it has been taken from another member who believes in his cause.
When the majority leader tells the members that this is the party line, they each have their independent vote, and if they decide not to vote according to the party line, and they decide to hide behind any individual, whether it is the Deputy President or whether it is the Secretary General, they stand accused.
The changes effected and those in the works seem to have helped the party leader regain control of key party organs, including the National Management Committee, which is scheduled to meet Wednesday morning, and set in motion the reactivation of other party organs, including the National Executive Committee.
Ni lazima viongozi wote ambao wamechaguliwa na chama chetu cha Jubilee waongee na sauti moja. Haiwezekani na hatutaweza kumsaidia Mheshimiwa Rais kutekeleza ajenda zake ikiwa baadhi ya viongozi wetu hawashirikiani.
5 senators who skipped the parliamentary group meeting called by President Uhuru Kenyatta at State House faced the disciplinary committee, where they pleaded their case, with each seeking a pardon. Meanwhile, in ODM, Narok Senator Ledama Olekina is back in his party leader Raila Odinga's good books following a meeting at Raila's Karen home. Olekina agreed to withdraw the case he filed against ODM over his removal from the chairmanship of the powerful County Public Accounts and Investments Committee in the Senate, and the party has in turn been instructed to reverse the decision to de-whip him. Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
Now, as the purge in Jubilee Party and the perceived onslaught on Deputy President William Ruto continues, What are the Deputy President's options as second in command? While some have called for the resignation of the DP, others hold that he should stay put and fight for his space in government as he and the President are joined at the hip by law. NTV's Silas Apollo reports.
It is not in doubt that the country's second in command has been a man under siege, whether from a direct onslaught from his boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta, or from those perceived to be close to the presidency. Deputy President William Ruto has seen some of the privileges he so much fought for slip from his grip. But for a man who enjoys the security of tenure and by law is a principal assistant of the president, what could have gone so wrong? And are those said to be behind his war subverting the law?
It's very important that you have unity at the head of any government, and to assign independent roles to a deputy through the law that are performed despite different views of the principle of that government.
First is the question of the legality of some of the actions against the office of the DP, like elevating the roles of cabinet secretaries and rendering the DP near jobless and without clout in key government decisions. Then there is the ongoing purge on MPs and leaders allied to the DP, which some have termed unfair to a man they say is a near co-principal to the president. Critics of the DP have blamed his misfortunes to his domineering character and his burning desire to succeed his boss. It is these actions that have seen his critics accuse him of starting premature campaigns and in the process appearing to be in subordination of his boss.
So during times of succession, sometimes the relations between a president and a vice president can become a bit strained, and there's not so much you can do about it.
The lawyer says Ruto is not only one to be faulted. The president also has a role to play in ensuring that his deputy works well.
So there has to be a balance between unity as well as the idea of checks and balances, which means you don't have an autocratic president or an autocratic governor who operates based on whim or based on caprice, just what I think, capriciousness.
Whether or not the events of the recent past will continue, or whether the president and his deputy will find a truce, what is sure is that the successes and failures of the government will be a legacy for both principals to bear. Silas Apollo, NTV.
You drink? Well, certainly very interesting times ahead. Now, we're about to take a break on NTV tonight, but first, imagine coming face to face with a bear. Yes, a big grizzly bear. The ones you see in the movies. Would you scream and run? Well, take a look at this. This boy is out taking a walk in the wild when a massive bear suddenly appears behind him. But young Alessandro, an Italian boy, is cool, calm and collected. He just slowly walks away even as the bear comes out of the bushes and makes its way towards him. Alessandro said that he is a bear lover and he could not wait to see one. So when he did, he already knew how to behave, which was to just slowly walk away without making the giant mammal angry. How brave. We'll see you after this break.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach, and use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, Jig, and Harpic.
Birthday party! Birthday party! Birthday party! Birthday party! Are we not invited? We have gifts! Malaria! Mommy! Pests! Run!
Oh, die!
Party!
Compared to an ordinary spray, Mortein Doom Power Guard kills disease-causing pests instantly. Mortein Doom Power Guard.
on top of Africa.
Anybody for a lolly to make you jolly? This is history unfolding.
The 20th century is Africa's.
If we continue to behave normally, this disease will treat us abnormally.
Dettol's main objective is to help children protect themselves from diseases. Do you know how we get illnesses like diarrhea, cough, and cold?
No!
They are spread through germs on your hands. Your hands collect germs that causes diseases. You pick up germs from any surface, like when you don't wash your hands after going to the toilet, while playing. And then you can get sick because of germs. That's why you need to fight germs to stay healthy by washing your hands regularly with Dettol soap that gives the best germ protection ever against many illness-causing germs.
Wash, wash, wash your hands. What you have to do is bath, bath, bath yourself. Dettol soap every day. Wash, wash, wash your hands.
John suffers from indigestion. His twin James suffers from heartburn. Sometimes it's the other way around or both. That's why they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts up to 4 hours. For double relief from heartburn and indigestion, Gaviscon Double Action. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Kira! Kira? Where are you?
Malaria!
Mommy!
That's why you need the superior protection of Mortein 360-degree reach. Only this has 11 vents which enable it to reach the farthest corners. Mortein, total indoor protection.
Nyaje wa Kenya, hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water, apply a small amount of soap, rub palms together, rub fingers and thumbs and the bits in between, rub nails on palms, rub the back of each hand, rinse with clean running water, and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
Are you excited for tomorrow?
Is tomorrow Saturday?
No, it's the first day of school.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go to that.
But it's mandatory.
Ooh.
I was
Elizabeth, you shouldn't be teaching. I mean, I can't think of anyone less suited to being a teacher.
I don't need a blackboard or a classroom to set an example. So stupid.
Morons!
Now, who has the answer to my question? You, Chubbs.
He's,
Whoa, wait! Twilight, what do we talk about in class? Don't throw at her, throw through her.
What comes to your mind when you think of the perfect home for your family? Is it the beauty, the comfort, the security, the convenience, or even the affordability? Victory Gardens offers exactly that and much more. It is just 10 minutes drive from Kitengela town and 3.8 kilometers off the tarmac. This gated community project comes with solar street lighting, Maram roads, beautiful trees, 24-hour security, and water connected to every plot. The best part is, families are already living here. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optiven.co.ke.
Optiven Limited, the pacesetters in real estate.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white clothes, towels, and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
NTV Tonight with Zainab Ismail.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching NTV Tonight. Now, the body count from alleged police brutality continues to rise across the country. 2 more people have been killed, reportedly by use of excessive force on the part of police officers, enforcing the measures aimed at curbing the spread of the coronavirus. Judith Cherono has more.
On Wednesday last week, 40-year-old Maurice Ochieng, a timber trader in Holo Market, is said to have exchanged words with police officers who tried to arrest one of his employees for not wearing a face mask. The police, is said, responded with a thorough beating and arrested Ochieng. He was released the following day from when he complained of severe body aches, according to the wife.
And now we are asking the government or whoever is concerned, please help us, so that haki lazima itendeke.
Ochieng collapsed on Monday at 1 p.m. and was rushed to Kombewa Health Facility, where he was pronounced dead on arrival.
No formal complaint has been made to any of our stations. So, but according to our police procedures, we are not going to leave any stone unturned.
Miles away in Laikipia County, another family is grieving from the killing of their kin, Stephen Githinji. Githinji is said to have met his death while trying to seek refuge alongside 2 others in one of the hotels in the area after curfew hours. The other 2 ran away and upon return found Githinji lying dead in a pool of blood.
Hata daktari alikuwa amesema ati imeclot huko ndani kwa kichwa. Haki ifanyike.
3 suspects, including a police constable identified as William Nyaga, a bar attendant, and a watchman, will soon be arraigned. Judith Cherono, NTV.
Let's now head to the courts, where 4 senior officials of the Kenya Bureau of Standards have today been arraigned in connection with the 12.7 million shillings fraud in the agency's Kisumu branch. KEB's Principal Quality Assurance Officer Florence Auma, Principal Market Surveillance Officer Catherine Nyangila, Regional Accountant Daniel Ambrose, and the Kisumu Office Accountant Lynette Bitengo were charged with 10 counts of fraud. They are accused of diverting money from the KEB's account for personal gain and non-payments that were not supported by any documentation. The 4 denied the charges and were released on a bond of 3 million shillings each. The hearing will commence on June 10th. Another suspect who fraudulently obtained goods worth over 12 million shillings from a city businessman after forging stamps from the Ministry of Health has pleaded not guilty to 6 counts of fraud and forgery. George Otolo Akech is accused of forging a Ministry of Health letter on the 4th of this month and obtained non-powered hand gloves valued at 7.4 million shillings and non-contact infrared thermometers worth 5.7 million from the businessman. He was released on a cash bail of 200,000 shillings. The case will be mentioned on the 22nd of June. Elsewhere, a German national has been charged with 7 counts, including child sexual abuse, after he allegedly sodomized 4 teenagers aged between 10 and 13. Appearing before Senior Magistrate Muthoni Nzibe in Nairobi, Thomas Scheller was accused of indecently exposing the minors to pornographic material between March and May 2020 in Kisumu and Nairobi. He was not granted bail as he failed to provide valid residency documents and was remanded at the Kilimani police station awaiting probation. The matter will be mentioned on the 19th of June when the probation report will be presented. All right, let's revisit our earlier story in the cleanup in Jubilee. And President Uhuru Kenyatta is set to chair Jubilee's National Executive Council meeting, which will firm up the party's position against indiscipline among members and endorse the changes in its parliamentary leadership. Read in the Daily Nation why this appears to be the last nail for the bromance between President Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto. Meanwhile, ODM leader Raila Odinga appears to have quietly ditched his partners in the NASA coalition with a declaration that each party must craft its own matrix for victory in 2022. Plus, why the World Health Organization has temporarily stopped the use of malaria drug hydrochloroquine from its global study into experimental COVID-19 treatments. All right, and it's time for another break. But before that, have a look at how New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern reacted during an earthquake. Yes, an earthquake, as she gave a live television interview. A moderate 5.6 magnitude quake rattled New Zealand's North Island early on Monday, but failed to crack the Prime Minister's trademark composure. We'll be back after this. Take a look.
Does this mean Clark can now build a shed out the back?
No, it does not, because he already has a shed, and the last thing we need is another shed for Clark. He has 2.
But it is.
We're just having a bit of an earthquake here, Ryan. Quite a decent shake here.
All right.
But if you see things moving behind me,
has it stopped?
The
Prime
beehive
Minister?
moves a little more than most.
Has it stopped, Prime Minister, or is it still going?
Yep. No, it's just stopped.
If we continue to behave normally, this disease will treat us abnormally.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile? All that in one toothpaste? Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums. Ah, Colgate Herbal. Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
Can you tell Kinyanjui to come to my office immediately? Good morning. Good morning. Mimi sipendi unapanguza floor. Hiyo dust uache hapa kwa meza. Clean up. Kinyanjui, this is a problem, eh? Next time uende ununue selector yako, utengeneze sandwich zako, uachane na sandwich za boss.
Selector. The difference is in the taste.
Hii uende uweke kwa ile githeri yako, eh?
Melissa? Mom, it's Dad's birthday today. I'm giving him a party just like he gives me.
Nothing makes a mother more proud than seeing her child growing up. But I know that as she learns to care for others, she'll face even more germs and the risk of illnesses.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection. Just 1 cup of Dettol protects your home and family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Shop online and pay with your Visa card securely for groceries and other essentials, e-learning subscriptions, online entertainment subscriptions, as well as all other bills online. With Visa, you can make payments online using your Visa card in 3 easy steps. Simply go to the checkout page, select Visa card, enter your card information, and your purchase is securely completed. Safe is smart. Visa, everywhere you want to be. Terms and conditions apply.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
Welcome to the conferencing service.
Emma! Carry on, Ken.
First quarter sales, they're up 90%.
Very good. Very good.
We are looking at a 55 billion shilling profit by the end of the financial year.
Now you're talking. Yeah, we talk billions. Very good. I gotta go. Wacha niendelee na kazi.
A person has left the conference.
Niko nyumbani. Downloads are very fast. Streaming, eco. And I'm just working from here. Stay connected and work from the convenience of wherever you are. Fiber to the home.
Working from home? No problem. Fiber Home has you covered with the fastest and most reliable internet speeds. Get connected today. Kazi lazima iendelee.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's now take a look at stories making headlines in the world of business. A national flag carrier, Kenya Airways, has sunk deeper into losses after recording a 12.9 billion shillings loss for the financial year ended December 2019, up from the 7.5 billion shillings it reported over the same period in 2018. Victor Kiprop reports on troubled airlines' worsening fortunes amid the coronavirus pandemic, which has hit the global aviation sector.
Despite recording an impressive 12% growth in revenues from 114 billion shillings in 2018 to 128 billion shillings last year, Kenya Airways still saw its annual losses widened by a whooping 71% to 12.9 billion shillings from 7.6 billion shillings in 2018. Passenger revenue grew by 8.9%, driven by route expansion, but operating costs jumped by 12.4% from 114.8 billion shillings in 2018 to 129.1 billion shillings in 2019, driven by the increase in the capacity deployed and the increase in fleet ownership costs, attributed to the return of the 2 Boeing 787 aircrafts that had been subleased to Oman Air. The airline's tribulations could even get worse this year, as it takes a beating from the coronavirus pandemic that saw its passenger operations grounded on March 25th, leaving it holding on to cargo which accounted for only 7.4% of its revenues in 2018. Kenya Airways needs money for maintenance of the grounded planes, payment of staff salaries and settlement of utility bills, but having received a 5 billion shillings bailout from the state earlier this year, the airline's latest request for another 7 billion shillings injection appears to have been ignored by the National Treasury. Having registered consecutive losses in the last 6 years, the government is currently in the process of restructuring the airline, with a roadmap towards the nationalization of the airline expected to be unveiled in the coming weeks. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
Well, the government has defended its decision to stop buying maize from farmers, arguing that it is part of new reforms that will ensure food security without cartels and give farmers the best value for their crop. In this morning's session of the Senate, senators heavily criticized the government's inability to guarantee food security in the country, with some senators arguing that the decision to stop buying and storing maize would leave farmers with no market and at the mercy of cartels. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya, however, said the government would ensure stability of prices in the market without being an active player, and that the reforms would ensure farming of the crop is profitable.
I would like to know from the Cabinet Secretary the policy paper that informed the decision to stop buying maize from farmers, because there was a reason why in the governments of President Kenyatta, President Moi, President Mwai Kibaki, that it was necessary, Mr. Speaker, to be buying maize from farmers and protect and safeguard the farmers, but at the same time, food security of the country.
This story that government is not going to buy maize, farmers won't have a market is a total lie. In the past, when government was buying maize, what was happening is not the farmers who are getting the benefit from the price. It was the middlemen who would buy from the farmers at lower prices, then come and sell to government. So we are saying that distortion of the market affects the farmer but benefits the middleman. That's why we are saying NCPB, KNTs will continue buying but trading in it. They will be buying and selling.
Excuse me. Meanwhile, shareholders of Equity Bank will have to forgo their dividend income for the year ended December 2019, following the decision by the bank's board to withdraw the proposed dividend of 2 shillings and 50 cents a share. The bank was to disburse 9.5 billion shillings worth of dividend payment to shareholders subject to approval in the annual general meeting, which was slated for Thursday, the 25th of June. The bank's board has cited the adverse effects of COVID-19, saying the pandemic presented an quantifiable risk for companies. The board of Standard Chartered Bank has also withdrawn the proposed final dividend of 15 shillings per share, which is to be paid on the 28th of May. Standard Chartered Bank was to pay out 5.2 billion shillings in dividends. And Murang'a tea farmers have welcomed the new tea regulations that were recently released by the Ministry of Agriculture, arguing that they were good for the tea sector. The farmers also criticized the Kenya Tea Development Agency for opposing the regulations, which have since been forwarded to the Attorney General for amazement, or rather, actually a gazettement, I beg your pardon. Among other things, the new regulations cap agency management fees for smallholder tea factories at 1.5% of the gross value of teas sold at the auction, ban direct sale of tea outside the country except for orthodox and purple teas, and require factories to pay farmers at least 50% of the value of their green tea delivered every month within 30 days. And 5 counties have signed the participation agreement for the Kenya Marine Fisheries Social Economic Project, a 10 billion shillings program funded by the World Bank. Lamu, Tana River, Kilifi, Mombasa and Kwale counties will feature in the program aimed at improving governance and management of the marine fisheries and aquatic resources, promote investment in marine fisheries and coastal aquaculture, as well as strengthen coastal livelihoods. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya called on the participating counties to work together with the national government in order to ensure the project, which is expected to be launched in the coming months, becomes a success. Meanwhile, KCB Group, the country's largest lender by asset base, has been forced to temporarily close its Mvita branch in Mombasa County after one employee at the branch tested positive for COVID-19. The group says the branch will now remain temporarily closed for 3 days with the approval of the central bank to enable immediate cleaning and disinfection. Staff who may have come in contact with the patient will also undergo counseling and screening to ensure their safety before the branch reopens, the group said in a statement. Now, daily average mobile money transactions for deals above 1,000 shillings each have dropped by 18.4%, or by about 1.2 billion shillings daily in the period Kenya imposed coronavirus movement restrictions. This highlights the impact of the infectious disease on workers and the cash flow on businesses. For this and more business news, get your copy of the Business Daily tomorrow. Now, NTV Tonight will be back after this breather, but stay on for this. At a time when airport activity around the world is down, one airport in central France is reporting more business than usual. Marcel Dassault Airport is currently home to more than 40 grounded aircrafts from around the world, and more planes are expected in the coming days. 25 hectares out of the 40 hectares is currently dedicated for parking planes, which may seem like a lot, but considering the size of the planes, it's not actually that much. Aircrafts have to be protected from the different influence of atmosphere, humidity, and dust. We'll be back in a moment.
Who wants to answer? Mary?
Mary has a toothache.
Oh, I see. And who knows why?
Because the tooth is too big.
No, it might be a hole in her tooth called a cavity. That's why I brush twice a day using Colgate.
Imagine this is your tooth and these are food acids that cause cavities. Colgate with calcium and fluoride helps prevent cavities
For maximum cavity protection.
and now available in a 12-gram sachet for fresh breath. Only 15 shillings.
It's in times of great difficulty that we should always give thanks to those who are there for us. So, to all our customers who have been there for their friends, their families, those in need, as well as us, we'd like to say thanks. Thanks for staying at home and staying connected. We've got you. With an automatic upgrade on us. A little gift from our heart straight to yours.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
We're glad you could stay with us. Let's now take a look at stories that are making headlines internationally. And Burundi's fiercely contested election came to an end with Evariste Ndayishimiye winning the elections. The highly contested elections created tensions between the ruling party and the opposition. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has temporarily suspended clinical trials of hydroxychloroquine as a potential treatment for the coronavirus. Here's a quick look at those news.
Evariste Ndayishimiye is the new president of Burundi. The 52-year-old former army general was handpicked by the ruling CNDD-FDD party to replace Pierre Nkurunziza, who has been in power for the past 15 years. The opposition has, however, challenged the results, citing gross electoral misconduct, and will file a lawsuit in 2 days' time. The new president has the task of uniting its citizens as he inherits a deeply isolated country that suffers wounds of turmoil sparked by election violence in 2015 that killed at least 1,200 and made 400,000 others flee from the country. The elections took place despite warnings from the World Health Organization on crowding during political rallies. The country is now under sanctions and has been cut off by foreign donors, leaving its economy and national psyche damaged by years of political violence and rights violations. The World Health Organization has suspended clinical trials of hydroxychloroquine as a potential treatment for the coronavirus. The move comes after a publication by Lancet indicated that the use of the drug on COVID-19 patients could increase their likelihood of dying. This is after governments around the world began buying the drug in bulk after a section of public figures, including US President Donald Trump, recommended the drug to treat mild COVID-19 cases. Brazilian federal police have raided the residences of Rio de Janeiro Governor Wilson Witzel as a part of a COVID-19 corruption probe that targeted one of President Jair Bolsonaro's political foes as the pandemic sweeps the nation. Sources and a statement from the federal police said the search warrants were part of an investigation into alleged corruption involving the use of public money destined to fight the pandemic. Witzel is a former ally turned foe of President Bolsonaro, and the two have clashed.
What comes to your mind when you think of the perfect home for your family? Is it the beauty, the comfort, the security, the convenience, or even the affordability? Victory Gardens offers exactly that and much more. It is just 10 minutes drive from Kitengela town and 3.8 kilometers off the tarmac. This gated community project comes with solar street lighting, Maram roads, beautiful trees, 24-hour security, and water connected to every plot. The best part is, families are already living here. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Optivan Limited, the pay-saters in real estate.
Credit to you if you stay at home. If you must shop online, use your NCBA credit card. Stay home. Stay safe.
This new pack is available in all leading supermarkets and outlets. It's still the same flour. Pembe yangu ni poa.
Change your baby's diaper often and as soon as possible after bowel movements. Gently clean the area with mild soap and water or baby wipes. Have a clean diaper. Use diaper ointment to prevent diaper burn, diaper wipes or a container of warm water and a clean washcloth or cotton balls.
Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids. No rashes. Kiss Kids. No rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Bye diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
Are you excited for tomorrow?
Is tomorrow Saturday?
No, it's the first day of school.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go to that.
But it's mandatory.
Ooh.
Elizabeth, you shouldn't be teaching. I mean, I can't think of anyone less suited to being a teacher.
I don't need a blackboard or a classroom to set an example. So stupid.
Morons!
Now, who has the answer to my question? You, Chubbs.
Whoa, wait! Twilight, what do we talk about in class? Don't throw at her, throw through her.
Let's have a look at the day's sports news. Welcome, my name is Brian Otwal. Nyayo National Stadium is nearing completion, with the stadium set to be handed over to the Sports Kenya in 2 weeks' time. Meanwhile, a virtual 2,000 meters partnership race between Norwegian and Kenyan athletes will be held at the venue on June 11th, even as the country plans to host the World Continental Tour as the first international event on the grounds in September. Renovation works at the Nyayo National Stadium will soon be concluded, with final touches remaining. Plastic seats have finally been installed all around the stadium that may soon be open for competitions after being closed 3 years ago.
They will still have to improve their grass, but we wanted to finish first of all the hardware, and then we'll come into the soft issues of the grass. But we are, as you can see, we have tried to maintain as is, but half the these works will now embark on the grass to make sure that it is to the required standards.
As you can see, we're in a very good place right now, right? But there are finishing touches that need to be done, painting that needs to be done. As soon as that is done, then it will be handed over to Sports Kenya.
And with the COVID-19 pandemic halting sports globally, athletes from Rongai Athletics Club had a feel of the stadium in preparation for a memorial run. The athletes, who include World 1500 meters champion Timothy Cheruiyot, Commonwealth Games champion Elijah Manangoi, and 800 meters runner Edwin Meli, will compete against the Norwegian Ingebrigtsen brothers in a virtual race dubbed Mori Plant Memorial Race on June 11th. The 2,000 meters run was organized to pay tribute to legendary Australian athlete Mori Plant, who passed away in January this year, while also supporting the fight against COVID-19.
Ndoto yangu ni kufocus kwa mazoezi, nirudi form kama 2018-2019. Na matarajio yangu hapo mbeleni niende Olympics.
We are part of the bandwagon. We are trying to get our shape back so that we can perform to our best in August and the month preceding August.
The winner of the run will be the team with the best overall time for 3 runners, with the individual time set to count as well. This is a boost to Manangoi, who is returning from injury and hitting the tracks now. He has his sights focused on winning a medal at the postponed Japan Olympics.
That is the only medal that I don't have, the Olympic medal. So that is my major factor in my life. So I think I'm still focusing for Olympics next year. It's not far. So this is my first journey for Olympics.
With Kenya set to host the World Continental Tour Nairobi leg on the 26th of September, plans are underway to ensure Nyayo Stadium will be used if Kasarani Stadium will not be ready for the event.
Now time has come. Time has come where we feel that there could be light at the end of the tunnel.
We will also be aware of the consequences in case the pandemic is still there. So we want to find different ways of hosting this event, even if the problem is still there.
The race will be the first international major event at the Nyayo National Stadium since its closure in 2017. We all can't wait for that venue to host Mashemeji Derby, Gor versus FC Leopards. Moving on, each player from 12 most vulnerable Kenyan Premier League clubs will receive 10,000 Kenyan shillings from the Ministry of Sports as part of the government COVID-19 stimulus package to cushion them from the effects of coronavirus pandemic in the next 3 months. The verified list of players excludes players from Tusker FC, KCB, Ulinzi Stars, Bandari, Posta Rangers and Wazito FC. KPL players had earlier each received 5,000 shillings from gaming firm Betika.
Today we began rolling out the stimulus package for sportsmen and women. We have agreed that we are starting with KPL because we know, after having done our verification, that those are the footballers that are suffering the most. And so we're beginning with them and we will continue rolling it out for the next 15 days. And then we will take stock and see how many have been supported, how many are still out there and that need our support. We are starting the rollout with 20 million Kenya shillings.
And former Football Kenya Federation FKF Deputy CEO Herbert Mwashiro, beg your pardon, is the latest entrant to join in the race for the top seat at the Football Kenya Federation. He joins the already crowned list of contestants that also has immediate former Sekafa Secretary General Nicholas Misonye, who announced his candidature last week, former Vihiga County Governor Moses Akaranga, and former FKF President Sam Nyamwea. It is still unclear when the elections will be held after the Sports Dispute Tribunal twice cancelled the elections that were to be held on the 7th of December 2019 and 27th of March this year. And to Germany, leaders Bayern Munich took a big step to retaining their Bundesliga title by winning 1-0 away from home at second-placed Borussia Dortmund. Joshua Kimmich's wonderful chip from 20 yards gave Bayern the lead just before halftime, after both sides had efforts cleared off the line. Bayern's win puts them 7 points clear of Dortmund with 6 games left. In other matches going on tonight, Bayer Leverkusen will be playing Wolfsburg. Eintracht Frankfurt are battling Freiburg, and Werder Bremen will be taking on Borussia Mönchengladbach. And tennis world number 7, Alexander Zverev, will join Novak Djokovic's Balkan tournament next month, boosting the cast of top players to descend on Belgrade as the professional season is frozen by the coronavirus. The German will join world number 3 Dominic Thiem and Grigor Dimitrov, ranked 19 in Belgrade, on the 13th to 14th of June for the first stop of the Adria Tour. Whether spectators will be allowed remains uncertain, and the Adria Tour, which Djokovic announced on his 33rd birthday last week, will run from June 13th to July 5th in Serbia, Croatia, Montenegro and Bosnia on clay courts. The money raised from the tour will be donated to various charities, and the ATP and WTA tours have been suspended since March and will not resume until at least at the end of July, while Roland Garros was postponed to September and Wimbledon was cancelled for the first time since World War II. Well, on that note, we end our sports, but you've heard a few clubs are being given some kind of stimulus package by the government. Tusker FC, Bandari, among the clubs that have coming from companies, are not being deemed to be vulnerable.
But this is, I think this could help the players in the country,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But also very importantly, and a lot of people are also asking, when is the Premier League coming back?
We are waiting. We're still
no
waiting.
Announcement yet?
Not yet. Nothing. No sport is back in Kenya.
All right.
Because it's still all closed.
No, I mean the English Premier League.
English Premier League, yeah, still waiting. But then there were thoughts of it coming back on 12th of June. Yeah.
So no more information at this point.
Yep.
All right.
Confirmation still waiting.
All right. Well, that wraps up our bulletin this hour. Many thanks for watching. From Brian Otwal and myself, Zainab Ismail, the sign language interpreter, David Agondoa tonight, our director, Mark Chalo, together with our producer, Sheila Sindayo, and the entire team that made this possible. Thank you for watching. Have yourself a lovely night and take care.
This is NTV.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Change your baby's diaper often and as soon as possible after bowel movements. Gently clean the area with mild soap and water or baby wipes. Have a clean diaper. Use diaper ointment to prevent diaper burn, diaper wipes or a container of warm water and a clean washcloth or cotton balls.
Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids. No rashes. Kiss Kids. No rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
I am jobless.
Niko na watoto wangu nje, sijui